When you're building a personal brand, what's the first instinct? Right, it's to get as many people as possible to like you. But what if that's the very thing making your brand completely forgettable? In this explainer, we're going to break down a really powerful concept called polarity, and I'll show you how it can make your brand absolutely magnetic.
Okay, just let this one sink in for a second. This quote gets right to the heart of a killer branding strategy. The goal is not universal appeal. The goal is to connect, and I mean really connect, with the right people. Because let's be honest, when you try to be everything to everyone, you end up being nothing to anyone.
So what happens when you try to avoid ruffling any feathers and just play it safe? Well, you run headfirst into a really common and damaging issue. Welcome to the bland brand problem.
This whole thing really comes from a place of fear. The fear of losing out on a potential client. It makes people water down their message until it's, well, just beige. The result is content that looks and sounds professional, sure, but it has zero personality and makes zero impact. It's basically the perfect recipe for staying invisible.
And being bland has real costs for your business. When you're generic, people just scroll right past you. If there's nothing setting you apart, you're forced to compete on price. And that attracts clients who aren't a great fit, which makes the whole process of running your business feel totally draining.
Okay, so if being bland is the problem, what's the solution? It's a really powerful idea called the Polarity principle.
Now let's be super clear. Polarity is not about starting fights online or being controversial just for attention. No way. It's a strategic decision. It means being so clear on your values, your style, and what you believe that you naturally attract the people who get it, and, just as importantly, you push away the ones who don't.
This comparison right here shows the crucial difference. On the left, you've got intentional positioning. That's attracting your ideal audience by being authentic. It's based on real values. It's a filter. On the right, you've got just being divisive for clicks. That's about manufacturing conflict and chasing engagement. True polarity comes from what you genuinely believe, not from trying to be inflammatory.
This is the key mindset shift you have to make. When someone unfollows you because you took a clear stand on something, that is not a failure. That's a success. You've just filtered out someone who was never going to be a good fit, and that makes more room for the people who are. That's the feature, working perfectly.
So this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually build this into your own brand? Well, it's not about guessing. There's a clear process you can follow.
It really just boils down to these 4 key actions. First, take clear stands on what you believe. Second, let your real personality show. Third, and this is a big one, you have to be willing to lose the people who aren't a good fit. And finally, use all of that to turn your content into a powerful filter that pulls in the right people.
It all starts with this one question. What do you believe about your industry that other people are too afraid to say out loud? What's broken? What common advice do you totally disagree with? Answering that is how you start to carve out your unique shape. It gives your brand edges, the specific viewpoints that make you memorable instead of just another smooth, forgettable circle.
Here is a perfect example of a clear stand. Most marketing advice is designed to keep you busy, not get you results. See, that's not an attack, and it's not inflammatory. It's just a strong, principled position. Sure, some people will disagree, but the ones who feel that exact same frustration, they're going to lean in, ready to hear what you have to say.
I want you to think about this difference. A net tries to catch everything, right? Indiscriminately. But a filter is smart. It's designed to let the wrong stuff pass through while keeping only what's right. Your content should work just like that. It should pre-qualify your audience so by the time someone reaches out to you, they already get your values.
Okay, as you start to put this into practice, there are a few common traps people fall into. Let's cover the biggest mistakes to avoid so you can do this the right way.
All right, there are a few key traps here. First, remember polarity isn't about being negative, it's about being clear. Don't fall into that trap of just chasing controversy for clicks. Another big mistake is backing down from what you believe when you get a little pushback. You have to own your standards. And finally, remember that not every single post needs to be a hot take. Polarity is the foundation of your brand, not the topic of every piece of content.
So when you get this right, when you finally go from a bland brand to a magnetic one, the results are incredible. They're transformative, not just for your business, but for you too.
At first, yeah, you might lose some followers. And that's a good thing. What you're left with is a core group of highly engaged people who are truly on board with your message. And trust me,
A smaller, interested audience is way more valuable than a huge, indifferent one.
And because your content has already done the heavy lifting, the people who get in touch with you are already sold on your approach, so sales conversations become so much easier. They already respect your expertise and they're ready to invest. You can spend less time convincing and more time collaborating.
And how about this? When you stop trying to please this imaginary crowd of critics, you give yourself permission to be you. You can share your real opinions and actually have fun creating content. It stops feeling like a chore and it becomes a genuine form of expression.
And ultimately, all of this leads to a more sustainable business. You get to work with clients who trust you, respect your process, and share your values. And that's the difference between a business that drains you and one that really energizes you.
So the core takeaway is really this. The little bit of friction you get from having a clear point of view isn't the problem. The real problem is trying to avoid all friction at all costs, because that is what makes a brand invisible and totally forgettable.
When we look to the future, the brands that are going to thrive are not the ones crowded on the safe, generic path. They're going to be the ones with the courage to be direct, to be clear about who they are, what they stand for, and who they're here to serve. That clarity is the future of branding.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Take a good look at your own brand and your content. Are you just casting a wide, forgettable net, hoping to catch anyone? Or are you building a powerful magnet, designed to attract only the right people? The choice is yours.